Chelsea, the victory. Crystal Palace's horrible run continues, but Pochettino delighted, of course, to take all 3 points. How would you sum up this game?
I sum this up by it's a very similar scenario to Manchester United, whereas they just needed, and they did yesterday, albeit it was a slightly different scenario. Chelsea needed, and Pochettino needed to get a result, and they got it.
Yeah.
That apart, and we can talk about the youngsters and all that, but you're not getting medals for blooding youngsters and saying,
right.
"Oh, I'm blooding youngsters," and because this is the future. Well, it's not. It's not Jamal Musiala. It's not Jude Bellingham. It's not. It's not Vinicius Junior. We don't know if these youngsters are going to be great or not. So it's a choice thing if you want to play and have this young side, which they did. But they were made, for me, Chelsea that is, were made to look extremely mediocre by a poor Palace side, particularly in the second half. Every time we looked up, we had a couple of games on, every time we looked up and we were watching, was Palace going on the attack? Was Palace going on the attack?
Yeah.
Was Palace looking dangerous, particularly with Elise, who got the goal, looked dangerous in the second half. It was Mateta running through, and Chelsea were struggling. They had the odd one with the ball over the top where they almost got in, and Pochettino saying, well, we created a lot of chances. Not really. So this was one that boiled down to, it looked like Palace were going to win it. It looked like there was going to be more pressure on the Chelsea manager, and a rush of blood from Eze on the edge of the box. The penalty kick comes in, they score it, they win the game, they get the 3 points. That apart, not a lot else changed.
Mario, do you agree?
Yeah, I think, look, Chelsea's not at a place where we're going to see great football, you understand? And I don't think the way he sets up the team as well. It was like, Greg highlighted one point that I really agree with, is the sense of like, they wanted a result. Okay, look, if you put Madsen is not the guy that's like, he went from left back, then he went to left forward. So I looked at him in the summer. He was playing that position because more likely the team that you're watching now, and Nkunku and Jackson, they were playing in the summer as well when they were starting. Mudryk was playing up front as well. And now watching this team, it's almost similar to it. But the thing was that Palace never used to come to the bridge and be that confident. And they were too confident. And that is the only question. Like when I was watching, I was like, why are they so confident? And then you could see the movement that he made, Poch. He took out Cobble, because he was playing against Olise. If you were watching the game, you just don't want a 1v1 of Cobble and Olise. That's what I was watching. And what comes, the ball goes over the top, he controls it, he scores. Then when he put Malo Gusto against him, it was a different game because I think Malo Gusto had a good game. Today, you understand, he even set up the first goal. But overall, when you saw his play, he put him from right to left, and the kid could handle both sides. And he already said it before. I mean, I remember when the season kicked off, I had a quick chat with him at preseason, and he said that left and right didn't matter to him. And he literally showed it today. But away from that, Jackson is making it really tough. Today, I watched him, and he's making it very, very hard for himself. I think he needs to, like, the competition is there, and in Nkunku, I think this, I know Poch said it too, he needs time. And I know time is really the difficult part. But Nkunku, I like what he's doing, and I hope he just keeps progressing. But for Jackson, he needs, I don't know. I'm never going to strike.
Mario, have you seen anything from Jackson that makes you think, yes, he can play at this level?
He has the speed and the power, but he doesn't have the calmness in his head that I feel a proper striker need. And he's not an old guy that he's like, we could say like, oh, he's still got time. But the only thing he needs to work on is the calmness. Because if we have the ultimate strikers that we looked at that played for Chelsea, you understand? Like, I give an example. My time was a Hasselbank, a Drogba. Those guys were calm. When they come in front of the goal, they will not, like things like when you get one opportunity, sometimes they will fall out with you if you don't give them the ball. And he get himself to that level, because afterwards people are going to start thinking like, should I give it to him or should I finish it myself? And I don't want him to be in that position, because strikers never want to be in that position.
It's quite the comparison, Hasselbank and Drogba.
Well, Mario wants to say why Crystal Palace came into Stamford Bridge with so much confidence. Because they didn't see Hasselbank, Drogba, Essien, Makelele, Ballack, the list.
Say Malchiot as well.
Yeah.
Same
and Melchiot.
Yeah.
And so when when they have this is, we talked about it in the summer during the friendlies. This is not a Chelsea squad that you're used to seeing in years past, that I played against, that Mario played for, Craig played for. It's a squad that doesn't necessarily strike fear into you. And unfortunately for me, I look at this Chelsea squad and I see mid-table. It's not a squad that's going to be challenging. When you look at Man City's squad, you look at the teams up at the top. It's not there yet. There's a lot of work to be done.
Why does he keep playing everyone out of position? Like it's something that Mario touched on. He just doesn't seem to be able to have his set team. And I understand injuries have influenced that, but he seems to be overcomplicating.
He's got a lot of people out of form, and Thiago Silva probably both, lost form and needs a rest, with all the games. Colwell's a centre-half playing left back, and a centre-half who could go on to have a very good career. He's a pretty good player. But I think when you see him defending the back post there, it wasn't great, the decision-making. And people say, well, you should be able to do that as a defender, but it's different defending the back post as a full-back than it is as a centre-half, because you've got different decisions to make. As a centre-half, you're in there already, and you're looking for your striker. As a full-back, it's a decision, do I tuck in to help or do I stay and watch what's behind me? That's when you've got to think about it. So he's got all these decisions to make. But if he's really honest about today's performance, it's one that we got a result. Because if you ask the Crystal Palace manager, who is clinging on by his fingertips, he would say, well, I'm struggling to find reasons why we lost that game, because we actually played well.
Yeah. So
I kind of think it's where Chelsea are at the moment. There's not a game in the Premier League, and I include the bottom 3 or 4, where Chelsea would play them and you go, that's a cast iron result. They're going to win that one. They're nowhere near that place at the moment.